Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by Lines.com, now powered by Lineups.com. Nate and Josh coming to you guys with Game 2 Western Conference Finals here, OKC and Minnesota. OKC looking to go up 2-0. We're going to be talking about this game as a whole and bring you some player props as well, as always. So make sure you are subscribed to that channel. Continue to follow along as we keep bringing you each of these games that we're available for moving forth throughout these playoffs. Nate, let's just go ahead, jump right into it. Game 2, I have a question to kick things off. Did anything surprise you about Game 1?
Not particularly surprising. I mean, we had OKC to kind of go on a run in the second half. I guess I was surprised by how decisive that run was, and how Minnesota, I mean, they just couldn't hit from the outside. I guess Naz Reid going over surprised me in that regard. But I will take unders here in Game 2. In terms of both teams to go under it at under 111.5 is plus 115, which is, pretty good value to me when you look at OKC's individual total is 111.5 and it's minus 120 implied to go under. So what we're really saying is we're worried about Minnesota being the one to go to 112 against this defense, this defense that just completely turned off their water in the second half and frankly didn't give up much in the first half, but Julius Randle was just hitting threes with a hand in his face. I'm not too worried about that. I do think the Wolves D will be pretty good here. And mostly they just fed OKC with points off turnovers, right? 31 points off turnovers in total led to 70 second half points. That was a big priority. If you saw the pregame speech from Chris Finch, and it will be reemphasized again here. In general, that defense is pretty good. I mean, one of the best in the league, of course, as we know with the Wolves. They held opponents under this number in 9 of 10 prior to this series. Granted, that was the shell of the Warriors for a little while there, but they're pretty well positioned to guard the Thunder. JDM, while he got a raw whistle, I think does a pretty good job on SGA. And otherwise, this Thunder offense is not something to be totally scared of here. I mean, if you think about what Denver did to them and then look at the outlier shooting in Game 1, 52% from three, 68% on catch and shoot. They shot 34.5% in that entire Denver series on catch and shoot. And I mean, Minnesota did not stick with the zone at all when they started to. If Denver can implement that zone, and we're just saying Aaron Gordon's the only plus defender on that team, you got to think the Wolves can do it if they stick with it a little bit more. There was the crazy free throw rate that got the Thunder offense going. These teams in general have not been high free throw rate teams, though, in the last round. I mean, OKC was 7th in their last 4 against Denver. And Minnesota's, their effective field goal percentage was really good against the Warriors as they kind of gave up. Otherwise, I mean, this is quite a different animal. 48% true shooting in Game 1, only 20 paint points, 0 fast break points. We're looking at a half-court game, probably, if Minnesota plays it right, which is trying to keep it close, keep it half-court, maybe some more O-rebs leading to longer possessions, and just in general trending under. But, I mean, to get plus money on this type of under when the total is, I believe, only 214 in general, seems like really good value.
Yeah, 214.5. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. I think OKC can still score on this team, but overall, I'm continuing to like the trend to unders, and I really just prefer Minnesota's team total under. I know they shot horribly. It's going to get a bit better, but I mean, 88 points the second half. We saw what it was. How much do you attribute to OKC's defense versus Minnesota's poor shooting? I think overall, if we're saying that at the end of the day, it's going to come down it's going to come down a lot. It's going to heavily depend on whose role players shoot better. I'm taking OKC's role players to shoot better. Whatever you think about the quality of the role players, which I still think obviously edge goes to OKC, I still say the pressure is on the role players of Minnesota, knowing that their margins for error are smaller. The guys on OKC are a little bit freer. We saw Dags play Isaiah Joe in the first half, Kenrich Williams a bunch in the third quarter, showing that all right, well, this game feels loose. We got Shai doing his thing. We're winning all of the battles, assists, turnovers, free throws, threes, points in the paint by a lot, which was one of the bigger X factors there. All of the pressure is off of the shooters because of that. And I'll just roll right into my bet because I'm taking the Thunder to cover 7 points. This is slightly lower than it was in the last game. And everything I just said was the start of me telling you why I'm betting on the Thunder, which is I don't trust Minnesota's offense. At the end of the day, period, That's it. If you want to talk about Minnesota's defense being one of the best in the league, I'm here for it. That's going to be very helpful to stop a team that was scoring like a buck 20, buck 25 at home in the playoffs, hold them to 114 and force them to get 70 points in the second half to do that. Fine. But I was even thinking at halftime, I was like, man, SGA has 9 points. His prop was at about 30.5 points. Everybody who wants to talk about how it would have been a great under to take SGA, do you really want to bet he's not going to get 22 in the second half? I don't want to make that bet. I was thinking that to myself. I was like, should I just take Shy over like 30 points right now? Like he's going to score 20 in this half. And there's a lot of, there was some fouls that were questionable. There were some fouls that people just want to complain about stuff too online. So I'm not going to listen to that noise. Really what it comes down to is if you're not going to win the rebounds and you're not going to win the points in the paint, what would you say you do here? Like, where do you go next? If you're Minnesota, you're not going to win the 3-point battle. You're probably not going to win anything. No, you're definitely not going to win anything close in terms of the mid range. That's where Shy lives, obviously. Easy twos, that's going to be OKC all day. You want to outdo them in transition? They're number one on both sides. So that's why I don't give Minnesota a chance, because the way you beat this team for OKC is you have a Nikola Jokic, maybe a Joel Embiid at full health, somebody that can sort of break their brains a little bit. But if you're basing your offense on perimeter play, going to the bucket and outdoing them in their game, it ain't gonna happen, man. So I'm gonna keep betting them at home -7, and on the road, if we get this at like under 5, happy to take that as well. Maybe not game 3, but certainly game 4.
Yeah, I mean, I want to push back on this because I don't want to overreact to a game one, but I don't have much confidence in Minnesota. I don't think either of us were very high on them in this particular matchup, kind of coming in basically gifted the conference finals by what happened to the Warriors there. And yeah, I mean, OKC clearly capable. I would just look at the second half again but you have to hope Minnesota actually comes out strong in the first half again, which, it felt good to have that -3 second half when OKC goes into it down 4 and you're like, okay, all they got to do is like play them even here. And yeah, eventually they are, it seems, going to just push the right buttons and be able to pull away. But you mentioned the whistles. Jaden McDaniels got to stay on the floor this time, I think. Over 11.5 points is what I'm going to stick with here. I do like adding the rebounds to a degree because, I mean, if you want to go 17.5 PR, I think there's something to indicate there that would hit. If he gets the points, he's probably getting the rebounds as well. Because Rudy Gobert can't really stay on the floor, this seems like it's just going to be a wings series at this point, right? I mean, that's how the Thunder, it's like a 6-6 and only league. And so everybody on the wings is getting these rebounds. Jaden went 6 for 6 on his rebound chances. 5 of those were contested and scored 7, obviously, in his 24 minutes. I believe he had 5 in the first minute and then just immediately winds up in foul trouble on SGA. I, again, expect more zone, therefore expect him to stay out of that foul trouble. I don't think Finch really wants to see more of Nah guarding his cousin. That did not go well, as you mentioned, 22 points in the second half. And look, JMD, he's going to get his open threes, I think, because that's just the way the Thunder defend. I think there's real good value here for plus 185 for him to just hit 2 of those, which he did in 4 of 5 in the Western Conference Finals last year against Dallas, another team that pinched down, allowed corner threes. And he was shooting confident. Like I said, he came right out, stroked to 3. And look, after a loss in these first 2 rounds where he had only 8 points against the Lakers, came back, scored 30, was a plus 11 after the game 1 dud against the Warriors. 16 points, 6 stocks, was a plus 20 in the bounce back effort. He's kind of an underrated third best, most important player on this team. I find a hard time of thinking of anyone besides Ant and Randall is more important to the Wolves' success, especially in this matchup when you have to guard SGA and that kind of guarantees his minutes.
Yep, I was going right back here. I had a good buddy tell me before the game, he's like, hey, man, I think JMD is going to be a monster on the boards in this series. And I was like, it's tough for me to get there with it, man, if he's just chasing Shy around, da-da-da. And he was like, nah, there's a lot of times where they're going to try to switch him off, and he's going to actually be helping on SGA as much as possible. But when that shot goes up, he's like in pretty good whatever. 4 boards in the first quarter and then just couldn't stay out of foul trouble. So I love the boards by themselves as well. But yeah, 23 minutes, man, he's still going to get some shots up. He actually has Chet guarding him. So I'm glad you brought up the corner threes because I kind of messed it up a little bit. We got J-Dub on Randall. We got Chet on JMD. great, because JMD wants to stand in the corner and shoot, and Chet wants to help off and block shots. So great, that's wonderful. Another big reason why Randall, I don't know, he shot over J Dub, wouldn't have been shooting over Chet so much, but I still think Randall has a big series, even if he's not going 4 for 5 from three in the first half. Either way, JMD is going to probably eat into some of the Randall stuff as well, and that might increase Randall's assists. Which, shout out you calling Randall assists in that game. 10 potentials, one total assist. Ran pretty cold. You were calling it, though, that like this dude's going to be playmaking a lot, and he was, and he will continue to do that. But let's get into to J Dub for a minute. I know we're going to both talk about him completely separately, so I'm happy to do this. I like him still over on the RA. I still think he's super. I know he is super involved in the offense, and the rebounds with him on Randall pretty good, because if Randall's standing out there on 3-point line, he's going to be looking for the ball and getting involved, but he's also passing a lot. Like I said, the 10 potential assists, second on the team in passes made in this game, and that's going to lead to J-Dub eventually playing off ball a lot too, right? I do think there's going to be more shots going up from other guys in this game for J-Dub to continue the boards. He ran hot in both in terms of the assists and the boards. He had like 12 rebound chances for 8 boards, just 8 potential assists to get 5 dimes. You're still getting like 5.5 plus money for the dimes. Don't love them by themselves, but if in the event that he continues to get good assists, he's at nearly 7 a game against this team on the season, then I'm going to feel good that one of these two is going to continue to carry us. And I've really started to fall in love with the rebounds and assist bets at times when I know that certain teams are going to hone in on certain guys, like Ant, and taking him last game on the RA also worked. And for J-Dub, when you're sort of the number 2 to SGA, you're going to continue to find yourself in with about 8 minutes. Now we're getting down to about 6 minutes per game where he's playing without SGA. So not quite the lead facilitator for as long as he was during the regular season minutes. But either way, the potentials continue to be there. He actually had lower potentials and lower rebound chances in this last game than he was averaging against this team, as he got all the way up to about 12 potential assists and about 13 to 12 rebound chances a game as well. So I'll keep liking him to get about 11. I think 12.5 is where I'm cut off, or excuse me, 11.5 is where I'm cut off. But 9.5, 10.5, if we keep getting these close to even money, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I agreed with you on this one. In particular with the rebounds, and then the assists were there as well in game one. I mean, I was going to take under points and assists, but then started to dive into it. I'm like, no, I'm not fading these assists again. Yeah, he was in big time playmaker mode, or at least facilitator mode, like bringing the ball up, having the most passes on the team by about 20 in game one. That being said, that fits into me saying I'm going to go under on the points, 20.5 points. Pretty good odds here. And I mean, for him to have the game he did and still only get 19 points, I'm just looking at this like this is just a lot for a playoff underperformer, a playoff faller, if you will, in general. I mean, it's been very early in his career, but he's 11-3 to the under in his last 3 series that are not in the first round here in terms of getting 21 points. He went 5-1 to the under his last 6 regular season against Minnesota, finally broke that stretch. We got 27 in the OT game. But in general, I mean, he's hovering around 19.5 points, shooting 33%, which has been the issue for him in the playoffs. Is he's just not shooting well from outside. In fact, shooting 26% from 3. He only shot 7 for 18 in that first game. Most of his points in the paint, 12 of 19, and 6 of those off turnovers. And I just think Minnesota's going to shore that up. Like, I don't think that they're going to turn it over and let him leak out like that. He had 5 steals on his own. I don't think that they're going to be quite that soft in terms of letting him get to the paint. They're going to, again, third time this is factoring into the cap, play a little bit of zone. Play some zone. The Denver zone was a big problem for J-Dub in particular, just got him off his guard. And OKC just seems so happy to see not zone for the majority of that game one, that I don't know why you would give them that satisfaction. So yeah, I think it's pretty fair to fade him when you know SGA is once again, 31.5 points odds juice to the over. You know the ball's going to be in his hands constantly. How deep the Thunder are. And that they, he's not really shooting many threes now because he's just not shooting well in these playoffs.
Yeah. He missed a couple bunnies yesterday too, or whenever. Yeah. I think it was yesterday now. That were, I don't know. He just doesn't seem comfortable quite yet. So the hustle plays, getting his teammates involved, Those are the things I trust a lot more about him. I think eventually he'll come along here a little bit more for them, but it's still, not going to be a great matchup when he's mostly being guarded by Ant a little bit of Randall in there. But then, yeah, he's there's some good matchups for him on the other side. The way that Aaron Gordon was a bad matchup for him to score in the last series. But let me go to the guy we've been sort of speaking around, which is Rudy Gobert. I'm going under. Uh, it's kind of bad. I'm going under PRA, 15.5 PRA. I don't want to say he sucks. That's ridiculous. And I'm just trying to be funny if I say that. He's an NBA player who's won 4 Defensive Player of the Year. But like, this ain't going to be his series. And shout out Jonathan Charks from the Ringer. He would always say, the longer that a playoff series goes on, the shorter the rotations become in terms of not just the fewer amount of people, but the size of the people playing continues to go down because you don't trust guys with stone hands when it's like every turnover matters, right? And they got walloped in the turnover battle, specifically because they got tripled up in the points off turnovers. They had 10. This squad, OKC, had 31. Rudy wasn't directly responsible for every single turnover by any means. He had about 4 while he was out, or excuse me, just had the 2 while he was out there. But I would argue if you watched a couple of them, like you can't pass him the ball unless he's right under the basket with nobody on him, or you're worried that you're not going to get it back and whatever, right? So it's created a lot of problems when you have him in there. That's why he only saw 21 minutes that he had when he was out there. We saw Nas out there for 27. We saw Naw out there for 27.5. They brought Jalen Clark in the second quarter or maybe it was third quarter, one of the second or third quarter. It wasn't garbage time, I'll tell you that, to try to see if they could mix it up with a guy who's long and athletic, even though he's just a rook. They were like, let's see if he brings something that Rudy can't bring, which is like at least the ability to be a connector on offense and keep the ball moving. But like that's the biggest thing here. It's just minutes and what he's actually bringing to the table. It's not like his plus minus was horrible. It was like a -2. That's because he didn't play in the third quarter when they got smacked, and then in the fourth quarter as well, he didn't touch the floor, or they got smacked even worse in the fourth quarter. And it's not like there was a correlation to him being on the court and them doing better by any means. So I just don't know why there's no place for him in this series. There's no need for him to try to they're not driving all the way to the bucket. He's not deterring that many shots. It's a lot of shy 2-pointers or other guys. And if he decides to commit to shy, then there's just lanes open all over the place. So it just doesn't make as much sense for him. They need the offense way more. I'm going to have him at another 25 minutes in this game, so I'm happy to go under on the PRA.
Yeah, we did pretty well with the game 1 picks, aside from me thinking Gobert could have double-digit rebounds, basically, which, the odds indicated that he was about even money to do so. It started looking like him and Hartenstein were both going to play key roles. Yeah. And then, it immediately was just like, nope, this is a Wings series. So Wings game 1, at least. Gobert didn't even really react to getting 2 fouls in the first couple minutes. It was almost like he wanted to be off the floor. He's like, I don't feel comfortable out here in this new age NBA. And then, there were some moments, really, really touch and go moments on offense where he caught the ball and passing up layups and into turnovers. And it's just like, oh man, you got to get him out of there. So I wouldn't blame anyone for fading him. But I wouldn't cross him off as saying he's not long for the series. I think Minnesota needs to figure out a way to use what he can do defensively on the interior and then dare OKC to shoot a little bit more. So I maybe we see a little more Gobert.
Yeah, maybe, but the way that I see that happening is Finch using him in spurts, right? This is going to probably become one of those literally chess move kind of things, because Finch is going to have to do something different, mix it up. Now, granted, Nas and Dante DiVincenzo combined for what, 4 for 30, 4 for 28 from the field. Horrible. You can't, those 2 guys as your spot up shooters. You got even a little positive regression. Maybe this is less of a 30-point game and more of a 15-point game. I still just don't like those margins for the Wolves.
Yeah, and I'm still a fan of 3 threes for Dante, which was big time plus money last game. It's still plus money. He took 12 of 14 shots from 3, and he's just not scared. He has the total green light. He's not going to be yanked for shooting threes, and some of those will go down.
Agreed. Yeah, and I like Nas as well because he's got to hit 2 to get you there as well. So I'm with both those guys, having better games in this one. But that is all the time we have for you. Definitely make sure to subscribe to that channel. We're going to continue to follow with these playoffs with you guys until we get to those finals. So until we see you next, happy betting.